Yeah,
Yes.
let's have some hands. Yes, sir.
I remember listening to your recording of it before the before championship. And if you would care to share with this audience what your experience was like in preparing and getting to know that fantastic recording, and if you tell us a little more about your experience with that particular recording.
With any piece of music, you can't really kind of reduce it to a sound bite, as they say today. Again, I remember Schnabel's sound and those scales, those runs. They were not scales. They were the spirit that would rise like a bird rises, and they'd kind of circle around when they get to the top and then zoom down again. They were all experiences. Don't think of them as scales. One thing, we've been talking about bar periods. One of the things to remember about that piece, it starts with the piano playing, and I'd be curious to ask if there's anybody here who knows the piece or plays the piece to tell me how many bars that first statement of the piano is. Do you have an answer? I don't see. Where's the answer? Where? 8 bars. That's certainly one might think, but no. I would have thought 4. It's another way of thinking that. It isn't. It's 5 bars. Totally asymmetrical, and not at all what follows. Following it, when the orchestra comes in, it starts being very, very symmetrical. 4s, 8s, multiples of 4s. It's a 5 bar. I remember there was a great musician called Sasha Schneider, Alexander Schneider. He was the second violin, for most of his life, he was the second violin of a great string quartet called the Budapest String Quartet. His brother Misha played cello. There were a couple of first violins over the years, Roisman. Boris Kreut was viola. Anyway, Sasha was one of these over-the-top personalities, just larger than life, and lived a great life. He was an extraordinary man. And he was one of the spirits behind Marlborough in Vermont, and an enormous influence in the world of music. Anyway, he once said, there's this little D major scale. Bum 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 be da da dee dum bum bum ba dee da dee that little D major scale. He once said it reminded him of a dial telephone. I'm sure there are a lot of you that don't know what a dial telephone is today anymore. But he said, you dial operator and let it go. It's really wonderful.
I find the scale to be one of the greatest challenges of phrasing in the whole
That
repertoire.
specific one?
Yeah.
Just quiet and even.
Of course.
Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Sounds like you had very supportive parents who would give you a great teacher. Can you speak to maybe what good qualities are for parents who have children?
It's terrible. It's a terrible responsibility. It was awful. I fought with my mother all the time. Yeah, I was a lousy kid for a while. I was sometimes bored with what I did. I learned how to read and practice at the same time. Read a book. And if I heard her footsteps coming close, I would, stick it under my leg, stick the book. No, I don't envy any parent that has a really gifted child in any field. It's got to be an unspeakable kind of responsibility. You have to approach it with much restraint as well as good sense. Yeah, but no words of advice from me. Yes, ma'am. About a performance? Yeah.
What do you value most in performance?
In a performance. You mean a performance that I listened to? What a perceptive question. I want to be engaged in an adventure. I want to have a sense that I'm hearing a piece of music that engages me, that enlivens my imagination. I don't want to be impressed by how much the player is affected by the music. I don't want to see all this moving around and writhing and, I find that a terrible distraction. Because I sit there and say to myself, isn't it nice how much the music means to him or her? But it prevents me from listening to the music. It's a very difficult position to be in, to be a musician and a performer, because the performer is not the star. The music is the star. The performer is indispensable because he or she brings the music to life. But they're not the star. The music is the star. Schnabel once described the function of the performer as very much like an alpine mountain guide. He knew all the routes, all the roads to get you to the top of the mountain. But his purpose was to get you to the top so you could enjoy the view. So that's However, if you really, as you learn and as you play and as you grow, if you really keep the idea of of probing the music, of searching into the music all the time, that remains your goal, I think you'll be on a good road. You know. The other, yes.